I would like to introduce myself. My name is Andrew. I'm an artist, designer, maker, primarily a cabinet maker by trade, but also I work in wood, glass, metal and ceramics. Okay, basically what I've done here is I've spent 6 weeks building this oven. The idea is, obviously I wanted a beautiful oven, the best I could build, and a simple design. I set out building a foundation and the shuttering. Before you can make the oven, you've got to make something that it sits on. My oven, I estimated it must be 1/4 of a ton to a ton of weight. Even the base has to be shored up, structured, rebar in with the concrete. Over this summer we collected bamboo and driftwood to make the shelter above the oven.
Putting together a driftwood hut here for the pizza oven. We started off with 4 8-foot posts, so cutting them down to about 4.5 foot, and then we're going to be putting some driftwood beams across, and then the bamboo structure on top.
Alright, cool.
And then hopefully we'll keep the pizza oven out the rain.
This is JP, he's a yacht interior cabinet maker, so he's very used to making things which isn't at right angles. We set about making the structure from the driftwood and the bamboo. We first had to get everything into proportions and the joints all correct. Personally, I wouldn't use driftwood again. It does look beautiful, but it doesn't weather well. It doesn't resist attack. Because it's been in the sea, it loses all of its oils. I did this in a few stages. So the first stage was the concrete base. That was the first summer. Then the second summer I worked on the roof and the driftwood and the tiles. But over the winter I'd actually covered it in polythene, and it actually blew off over the winter and it landed in the garden. Here we're adding some extra supports to stop it wobbling. At every stage you have to start planning the next stage or the next stage after that, because otherwise you make mistakes. So it's nice to have an idea of what mistakes might come up. So now I'm planning of where the chimney should go, how big the base should be. All the material so far has been recycled, found driftwood, bamboo is a invasive species, the tiles were donated. So, and I didn't realize at this time the tiles are stuck down with the expansion form. While I was building the structure, I started researching how you make the dome, the proportions, and how you have to do it with a rubber ball, and also the dimensions, because it is super important to get all the dimensions for the airflow. So I was quite inspired of Pinterest here with all the different styles, and I knew which style I wanted. Then it came the tools. I got into looking at different tools and then decided I'll have to make these as well. Making the base, you start off with first bottles of vermiculite, working out the size of the pizza oven. Don't make it too big when you make it, because then you need to use more wood to heat it up and you're not commercial. Here are the bricks. These are, I got the biggest bricks so it would retain the heat. We set it out in a herringbone pattern, and when I cut these bricks I saved the dust to put in the cracks later. We numbered them so it would all go back correctly. You also have to do it onto a bed of sand and tap them all down. And also we were working out at this time where the dome will sit, how big the door is, and we also surrounded it with rebar and cement to keep everything into place. Now for making the mold, which primarily is the whole part of the inside but reversed. So you really have to plan ahead how the door is going to be, because you're casting all of that at this time, and where the chimney will be. I made my own refractory cement because it's actually very expensive for a 25 kilo bag, and I needed a lot. And I wanted this part to be very thick because I wanted to cook with retained heat later on. So obviously there's perlite, clay, flint sand, and everything is supported with chicken wire inside. I mean, we've got an inch of insulation to go on there, and then I'll do another concrete mix of some sort to seal that in.
That's going to start getting pretty freaking big.
Yeah, but that's all right.
The thing is big enough down there.
Yeah, well, I hope so. At this point, my mistake was I didn't do like 10, 12 little fires inside and dry it out before I put on the insulation here. You cover it in chicken wire again so the next layer sticks to it. But my biggest mistake, like I said, at this point, you need to fire that first layer of cement dry, because there's nowhere for the moisture to go when you put this layer on. So this is the same clayey layer, which has also got a mixture of perlite, clay, but each time you can sand it down when the material gets tactile, so you can work it and shape it, because it isn't actually so easy to get the shape right, and you work it while it's wet and also while it's drying. Here we're working out how the tiling goes, and then I realized we need to add a little bit on the front. It actually takes quite a while to make a stove, but I wanted to make it the best I could, and it's really starting to take shape now. We're finishing the tiling up, and now you can see the scratch coat, and we also PVA that layer. Now the next stage is to mix up the weather coat. I used up a lot of the materials that I had lying around, the render from the walls, the white cement, there's also sand in here. It was a very hot day today, so we mixed it up quite wet, and I also wanted to work it into the scratch coat of the last layer. So you work it all over, trying to smooth it out at every stage, and while it starts to go tacky, and you can smooth it out even more. After this, you then use a sponge, and this works it more, and then you can smooth it again and again, over and over, trying to get the shape. Even after this dries, you can sand it with sandpaper, like a 40 grit sandpaper, to then take out any more bumps. Making the door was quite fun. I found an old cast iron oven door at the scrapyard. Here it is. My friend Randall, he turned the handle from a stone from the Socha River. We polished up the brass. Here we made a lip underneath, so the insulation will go in there, and we'll put stainless steel on the side where the fire is, and you can see where the door will sit. Here's the door after we sprayed it, cleaned it up, the insulation and the stainless steel. At this stage I was very amazed with the handle, the brass work, the woodwork is teak, and it really came out beautiful, and I was happy because I had not planned any of this. It was all working step by step. Now I start doing a number of small fires, and it started to crack in places, which was quite disheartening at this time. That was my mistake, not firing it earlier, because there's nowhere for the steam to go. We might as well shape the stonework here somehow, and then so I want to match on that clay surface in. in this corner I want to work on. This is the little locking system which slides down and holds the door into place, which came out absolutely beautiful.
Gotta send it to Leatherman, right? Grind this and dress it, flare it in, which would be really nice, and then lube it up and secure it. It's not secured to the fireplace yet.
No, it's perfect. Go on and drop it down. Watch it hit. I mean, that was it then, it's not even fixed it.
Yeah.
We painted the chimney a little bit just to brighten it all up. Another drying fire.
So you see under, you can see the flower.
Yeah. That's okay. Because I needed to dry it, we used Emmet's stove, who was at the house, and we made these pizzas, and they were absolutely great. So I felt like I'd wasted my time, but one day I'll make a lovely pizza. I plan to do more videos on the little projects that I'm doing at my house in Slovenia. So keep tuned, come back again, and I hope you enjoyed.